Welcome to UBI Unplugged, breaking down the future of income. We've got a lot to unpack today, looking at universal basic income, or UBI, and how it might reshape, well, everything, from work to education. Buckle up.
Excited to be here. It's a conversation we desperately need to have, especially considering the accelerating pace of technological change and the ever-widening income gap.
Yeah, I'm here to throw a healthy dose of skepticism into the mix. UBI sounds great in theory, but the devil's always in the details, right?
Cautious optimism is my stance. I see the potential, absolutely, but we need to be realistic about the challenges and the policy adjustments that would be necessary to make it actually work, and not just create a bigger mess.
Okay, so let's dive right into the news. South Africa is apparently launching a UBI grant in February 2025. It's pegged at R350 per month, which, let's be honest, isn't a fortune, but it's a start, aimed at citizens and permanent residents aged 18 to 59 with little to no income.
$350, yeah, it's a small amount, but it's a foot in the door. It's a statement of intent, acknowledging the state's responsibility to provide a basic safety net. The article mentions potential increases based on economic conditions. That adaptability is key.
A foot in the door to what exactly? A bigger reliance on the government? Where's that money coming from? And R350? I mean, that's barely enough to buy groceries for a week. Is it really going to make a dent in poverty?
That's my concern too. R350 in the current economic climate of South Africa feels symbolic. Will it actually lift people out of poverty or just create a dependency on a small handout? And the funding sustainability is a huge question. Tax reforms, reallocation of existing budgets, those are always politically charged battles.
Okay, but think about the psychological impact, even with a small amount. It's a buffer against absolute destitution. It allows people to breathe, to look for work without the immediate pressure of starvation. And it's a foundation to build upon. If the program proves effective, it can be scaled up.
If it proves effective, that's a big if. What if it fuels inflation? What if it disincentivizes people from seeking employment? What if the bureaucracy eats up half the funds?
Those are valid concerns, absolutely. The article mentions inflation as a potential challenge, which is spot on. A sudden increase in income can drive up demand and prices. And fraud prevention, SASA, the agency in charge, needs a rock-solid system to prevent abuse. We've seen issues with that in the past.
Right, but we can't let the fear of potential pitfalls paralyze us. Every major social program has teething problems. The key is rigorous monitoring, data collection, and a willingness to adapt the program based on evidence. And look at the alternative, doing nothing and accepting the status quo of extreme inequality.
I'm not saying do nothing. I'm saying let's explore other options before jumping on the UBI bandwagon. Skills training, job creation programs, addressing the systemic issues that cause inequality in the first place. UBI feels like a band-aid.
I agree that skills training and job creation are crucial, but they're not mutually exclusive with UBI. In fact, UBI could support those initiatives. It provides a safety net while people are retraining or looking for work. It gives them the breathing room to invest in themselves.
Exactly. And let's think bigger. What if UBI allows people to pursue education or start their own businesses? It could unlock entrepreneurial potential and drive innovation from the bottom up. It's an investment in human capital.
Start their own businesses with R350 a month? Come on, that barely covers transport costs. And what kind of businesses are we talking about? Selling apples on the street corner.
Okay, R350 isn't going to fund a tech startup, but it could help someone buy materials for a small craft business or pay for internet access to learn new skills online. It's about supplementing existing efforts, not replacing them.
And that brings us to the other piece we wanted to discuss today, the future of educational technology and personalized learning platforms. Imagine combining UBI with access to high-quality online education. Suddenly, learning becomes accessible to everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic background.
Online education? You mean watching YouTube videos? I'm not convinced that's a substitute for a real classroom with real teachers.
It's not about replacing traditional education, but augmenting it. Personalized learning platforms can tailor educational content to individual needs and learning styles. And UBI can help bridge the digital divide by providing the resources, laptops, internet access, that are necessary to participate.
Think about it. AI-powered tutors, gamified learning experiences, access to global experts. Education becomes democratized and individualized. And with UBI providing a basic level of economic security, people are free to pursue their passions and develop their talents without the pressure of immediately finding a job.
So everyone becomes a coder, a graphic designer. What about the people who actually build things, who grow food, who provide essential services? Are they just going to disappear?
No, of course not. But UBI could allow people to choose jobs that are more fulfilling, even if they're not the highest paying. It could empower workers to demand better wages and working conditions. It shifts the balance of power.
Exactly. It's about redefining the value of work. It's not just about earning a paycheck. It's about contributing to society in meaningful ways. And UBI frees people to pursue those contributions, whether it's through paid employment, volunteering, or creative endeavors.
Sounds utopian, but who's going to pay for all this? Higher taxes? That's going to stifle economic growth.
There are various funding models that could be explored, taxing corporations that benefit from automation, for example, or implementing a progressive consumption tax. It requires a fundamental rethinking of our economic system.
And it's not just about money. It's about shifting our societal values. We need to move away from a purely materialistic, individualistic mindset and embrace a more collaborative, caring approach. That's where Riane and Eisler's work on the partnership ethic comes in.
Partnership ethic? Sounds like something out of a self-help book.
I know it can sound a bit abstract, but the core idea is that we need to value caregiving, empathy, and collaboration more highly. Eisler argues that societies based on domination, hierarchies, violence, and control are ultimately unsustainable. We need to create systems that support and nurture human potential.
And UBI, in her view, is a key component of a partnership-oriented society. It provides a foundation of economic security that allows people to participate more fully in their communities, to care for their families, and to contribute to the common good.
So everyone sits around holding hands and singing Kumbaya? I'm still not seeing how this translates into practical policy.
It translates into policies that prioritize education, healthcare, and social support, policies that promote gender equality and racial justice, policies that invest in sustainable infrastructure and environmental protection. It's a holistic approach to societal well-being.
And it's about changing the narrative. We need to tell stories that celebrate collaboration, empathy, and compassion. Stories that inspire people to work together to create a better world. That's why Eisler emphasizes the role of storytelling in reshaping cultural norms.
Stories don't pay the bills.
No, but they shape our values, our beliefs, and our behaviors. They influence the policies we support and the kind of society we create. A compelling story can be a powerful catalyst for change.
Think about the Nordic countries. They have strong social safety nets, high levels of social trust, and relatively low levels of inequality. They're not perfect, but they offer a glimpse of what a partnership-oriented society could look like. And a UBI could be a key element in building that kind of society in South Africa, adapted to its specific context and challenges.
The Nordic countries have a completely different history, culture, and economic structure than South Africa. You can't just transplant a system from one place to another and expect it to work the same way.
Agreed. We need to be mindful of the specific challenges facing South Africa. High levels of unemployment, corruption, and inequality. These are all factors that could undermine the success of a UBI program. That's why careful planning and rigorous evaluation are essential.
Absolutely. And we need to be prepared to adapt the program as we learn what works and what doesn't. It's an iterative process, not a one-size-fits-all solution.
So what happens if it fails? What if it bankrupts the country and leads to social unrest?
Those are legitimate concerns, and that's why we need to approach UBI with caution and a healthy dose of skepticism. But we also need to be open to the possibility that it could be a powerful tool for creating a more just and equitable society.
And we need to remember that the status quo is not sustainable. The income gap is widening, automation is displacing workers, and social unrest is on the rise. We need to be bold enough to explore new solutions, even if they seem radical.
Bold, yes. Reckless, no.
Exactly. Let's proceed with caution, with data, and with a clear understanding of the potential risks and rewards.
And let's not forget the human element. UBI is not just about economics. It's about empowering people, giving them hope, and creating a society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Well, that's a lot to chew on. The South African experiment will definitely be one to watch closely. Moving on a bit to Elon Musk's take. He's weighed in on UBI, predicting it's inevitable due to AI job displacement, but also expressing concerns about a loss of meaning and purpose without work.
See, even Musk, the tech guru, is worried about the downside. He's right, isn't he? Work gives people structure, identity, a sense of belonging. Take that away, and what's left?
That's a really important point. I think Musk is highlighting a potential unintended consequence, the psychological impact of UBI. How do we ensure people still feel valued and productive if traditional employment becomes less common?
Musk's concerns are valid and shouldn't be dismissed. The key is to integrate UBI with opportunities for meaningful engagement. We could tie UBI to participation in skills training, volunteering, or community projects. It's about fostering a sense of contribution and accomplishment beyond just financial compensation.
So you're saying UBI should come with strings attached? That defeats the whole universal and unconditional thing, doesn't it?
It's a balancing act. We want to avoid creating a system that feels punitive or coercive, but we also want to encourage people to be active and engaged citizens. Maybe it's about incentives rather than requirements, offering additional benefits or recognition for participation in community activities, for example.
And it's about redefining what we consider work. Caring for children, looking after elderly parents, creating art, building community gardens. These are all valuable contributions to society, even if they don't generate a paycheck. UBI could allow people to pursue these activities without the constant pressure of financial survival.
But who decides what's valuable and what's not? Are we going to have a government panel judging the worthiness of people's hobbies?
No, it's not about judging. It's about recognizing the diverse ways people contribute to society and creating a system that supports those contributions. It's about shifting our focus from economic productivity to overall well-being.
And Musk's focus on a universal high income rather than a basic income is interesting. It suggests a potential opportunity to address income inequality much more comprehensively. But the financing and administration of such a system would be incredibly complex.
Incredibly complex and incredibly expensive. Where would all that money come from? Even Musk's billions wouldn't be enough.
A high UBI would likely require a complete overhaul of the tax system, potentially including wealth taxes, carbon taxes, and other progressive measures. It would also require international cooperation to prevent capital flight and tax avoidance.
It's a radical vision, but it's worth exploring. Imagine a society where everyone has enough to live comfortably, where poverty is eradicated, and where people are free to pursue their passions and contribute to society in meaningful ways. That's the promise of UBI.
And what happens when the robots take over all the jobs, even the creative ones? Then what?
That's a more dystopian scenario, and one we need to be prepared for. If AI truly renders human labor obsolete, then we'll need to fundamentally rethink our economic system and our social structures. UBI might be a necessity, not just a policy choice.
Exactly. The rise of AI is forcing us to confront some fundamental questions about the nature of work, the meaning of life, and the future of humanity. UBI is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's a crucial piece.
A crucial piece of a very complicated and potentially terrifying puzzle.
Indeed. And one that requires careful consideration, open debate, and a willingness to experiment and learn.
Which brings us back to the importance of education. As the job market evolves, we need to equip people with the skills and knowledge they need to adapt and thrive. Personalized learning platforms, accessible to all, could be a game changer.
Assuming everyone has access to the internet and a decent computer, the digital divide is still a huge problem, especially in developing countries.
That's where UBI can play a role. By providing a basic income, it helps to bridge the digital divide and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to participate in the digital economy.
It's a virtuous cycle. UBI enables access to education, which leads to greater economic opportunity, which further strengthens the social safety net. It's about creating a more inclusive and equitable society.
A virtuous cycle, or a vicious one, if things go wrong. Let's hope South Africa's UBI experiment is a success. The world will be watching.
Absolutely. It's a bold step and one that could have far-reaching consequences. Let's hope it's a step in the right direction.
Here's to a future where everyone has the opportunity to live a dignified and fulfilling life. That's the ultimate goal, and UBI might just be a key ingredient in achieving it.
Well, there you have it. A whirlwind tour of UBI, educational technology, and the future of work. Thanks for joining us. It seems we are all not agreement, but at least we had a good conversation. Until next time.